Now when people come to India, there's only one thing that they think of, the Taj Mahal. And that is one of the 7 wonders of the world and the most visited site here in India. But it's located in one of the most incredible, vibrant cities in India. It's got so much history, it's got Mughal Empire heritage, and to be honest, it's easily becoming one of my favorite cities here in India just because of the history, the charm, and the people. Welcome to this city right on the Yamuna River, home to one of the 7 wonders of the world. Welcome to the city of Agra. Good morning guys, and good very early morning guys, because it is 5 a.m. currently here in India. Today we're gonna make one of my lifelong dreams come true. We're gonna see one of the 7 wonders of the world in India. Let's go see the Taj Mahal. Security at the Taj Mahal is so strict. I had to take my microphone off. I don't know how the audio is, but they are extremely strict, like stricter than Machu Picchu, stricter than a lot of the other sites I've actually seen in my life. They're really extreme about it, but I guess that's what happens once you create one of the wonders of the world and everybody in the world wants to see it. When you try to beat the tour groups still beat you. Fortunately, there's just too many people here. And with that, we've officially reached the red inner gate. Right across that gate is the incredible Taj Mahal. The Taj Mahal was built in the 1600s by Emperor Shah Jahan. And we're talking a little bit about the Taj Mahal when we get inside, but this is not marble, clear white like the Taj Mahal is. This is pink sandstone, and it's the same kind of sandstone that we saw in Jaipur, that we saw in Rajasthan. It is a very, very different color, but it creates this formidable, massive entryway into the Taj Mahal. From the entryway, you can actually see the entire sort of path over to the Taj Mahal. But I mean, look at the color. It is absolutely incredible, and the sunrise. Look at that. This is why you come to Taj Mahal for sunrise, for the colors of it shining on the Taj Mahal, the sun just slowly rising to the sky, taking this beautiful, beautiful orange color. This is why Taj Mahal is truly one of the wonders of the world. The guards here are just unprofessional, and in a lot of senses very, very rude. They frisk everyone like it's worse than in an airport. Imagine normal airport security, but 10 times worse. Everything has to be locked away. I saw somebody with 2 plushies in their bag, and those had to be thrown out. With that said, this is why they're so strict. This incredible structure right behind me, the beautiful Taj Mahal. It is a massive structure. In fact, when I just walked through the gate, I didn't realize actually how big this structure was. It is absolutely incredible. I mean, look at how big that structure is. We're going to slowly get closer to it, but from here, it looks absolutely magnificent. Now, as you can probably tell, we are within the trees here. The Taj Mahal is right behind me. Now, the history of this place is actually quite interesting. The Taj Mahal was built not as an old historic Hindu temple or anything like that. The Taj Mahal was actually built by the Mughals, which was a civilization that swept through India, bringing Islam into the country and ruling over a large part of this entire part of India. Now, it was a massive, massive, powerful force. Even a lot of the Rajput kings had to cooperate with the Mughal Empire. It was a very ruthless empire as well, slaughtering many starving cities to get control over India. But this structure right behind me was built by one of the Mughal emperors. His name was Shah Jahan, and the reason for its construction was for his wife. His beloved wife, who passed away before him, had this entire structure built just for her, and finally when he passed away, he was also buried inside. Now what's really interesting is that this entire structure is made of pure marble that was literally imported from Rajasthan. So as those Rajput kings were still ruling over Rajasthan, they imported all this marble all the way here to Agra in order to construct this massive structure right behind me. I mean, at the time, you consider even today, it would be a huge logistical challenge to move all those massive blocks. And we'll get closer and I'll show you those blocks. But imagine doing that hundreds of years ago, in the 1600s. That's how many years ago that they were doing this, moving these rocks here to Agra in order to construct it. It truly is one of the marvels of the world, one of the wonders of the world. How they managed to construct such a massive, big marble building on the banks of the Yamuna River here in India. So many adorable squirrels all across this park. I'm glad they're protecting the squirrels. They're just as amazing as the Taj Mahal itself. You can literally tell this is all pure marble. When the sunlight reflects on it like it is right now, it creates one of the most beautiful colors to reflect off of the Taj Mahal. Even the bench you want to sit on, made of pure marble. It's probably one of the most expensive pieces of real estate in the world. Now the Taj Mahal is beautiful, but what it's built on is even more beautiful. This is the marshland to this incredible river right behind me, known as the Yamuna River. It is one of the most beautiful rivers here in India, and early morning in the sunrise you can see that is the Yamuna River with birds flying over it. This is the same Yamuna River, by the way, that even goes all the way up to Delhi through Vrindavan and Mathura. So you'll see all those little towns dotted over there. That's Vrindavan and Mathura, and if you keep going on that river just a little farther, maybe not a little, but a few hours farther, you'll eventually get to Delhi. But this is why it's so beautiful. Look at the Taj Mahal right behind me. It is massive when you actually come here. The size of it will really, really put you in awe and make you wonder, how the heck did they build this thing? But what I love is that once you're back here behind the Taj Mahal, where you've got the river right there, it feels quiet, it feels peaceful. And yes, you can hear the loud tour groups all the way out there looking at the Taj Mahal, but here for a second, it just feels like you've escaped all that tourism bustle. You can actually tell the river is pretty fast moving. All those things are just slowly flowing down the Yamuna River, and it's actually quite fast. Now, the Taj Mahal I mentioned earlier was built for Shah Jahan's wife. When she passed away, he had this massive, massive structure constructed in her memory. That makes the structure actually a mausoleum. It's not a temple, it's not a mosque or anything. Now, there is a mosque on the other side of the Taj Mahal itself, but the Taj Mahal alone is just a mausoleum. You can actually go inside and check it out, and I actually have a ticket for it, but unfortunately no filming or photography is even allowed near the inside of the mausoleum. So you're gonna have to use your imagination, and with that, I'll let you imagine what it looks like. And with that, we have officially left the Taj Mahal complex. I have to say, once you get inside, you start to realize why it is one of the 7 wonders of the world. It is incredibly big, incredibly beautiful. The marble structure is truly out of this world, and it makes you wonder, how did they build that almost 400 years ago? It is spectacular. It is truly a wonder. However, they're very strict here, overly, excessively strict, and I feel like if you want to encourage tourism and you want to encourage tourists to come in, and maybe they have, a few extra plushies in their bag, it's okay to take those in. You don't have to make them throw them out. But with that, let's go ahead and see what else Agra has to offer us. You know you've been in India for quite a while now when the first thing you want after you leave the Taj Mahal is some nice chai to just warm yourself up for the day. I'm not sure if I've mentioned this yet, but here in India, there are actually 2 types of rickshaws. You've got your traditional green and yellow rickshaws, and then you've got your electric rickshaws. This right here This is an e-rickshaw. It's much quieter, it's cleaner for the environment, and it's allowed in a lot of areas where traditional rickshaws might be. Now, is it as big or as maybe reliable as a gas rickshaw? Perhaps not, but definitely, hello, but definitely it's another way to get around here in India. You don't always have to rely on the green and yellow ones. You can also just take an e-rickshaw like the one I'm on right now. That's the normal rickshaw. You can really tell how much louder that rickshaw is compared to the more quieter e-rickshaw we're on. And about 20 minutes by rickshaw away from Taj Mahal, we've come to this incredible place right behind me. This is the Agra Fort. It's sort of pink and reddish in color, but it is one of the most beautiful places here, and we're going to go ahead and explore this incredible place in Agra. Now, Agra Fort was actually constructed before Taj Mahal. This fort was built in the 1500s, but it took 95 years to complete. It took 4 generations of Mughal kings to complete this fort because it's so massive. Now, this is the first non-Rajasthani fort that I've seen outside of Rajasthan. What I mean by that is that in Rajasthan, a lot of the forts were built in the Rajput kingdom. So the architecture they had was very, very Rajasthani in style. You can tell this architecture here is quite different from the forts we saw in Jaipur and in Jodhpur. This architecture is Mughal because this was a Mughal fort. This was built well after the actual empires of Rajasthan had been established. But you can tell the architecture is very, very different. And this is also where the king who built the Taj Mahal was also ruling his entire empire from here in Agra. Now this right here is the dancing courtyard within the palace. It's a really nice place, but there's a few very interesting things about this place that are definitely worth mentioning. First, that right there is where the king would sit. The king would sit right there, and he would have his ministers around in which he would discuss the different policies of the day at the time. Now this entire fort was built by one of the greatest emperors of the Mughal times. His name was Akbar. Akbar was a very, very progressive man at the time, and you can actually see that right here. If you look just beyond that, you can see there are 3 different religions. So you've got Islam, Hinduism, and 5 crosses for Christianity. At the time, he was very progressive, encouraging the mixture of different religions, and that's actually what made Mughal architecture and Mughal culture really, really interesting. We saw this in Rajasthan as well, where when you look at the pillars, you can see the different mixtures, the different architectures, and it's the same thing here. You can see you've got Hindu architecture up here, and Mughal designs that sort of go down. It's a very interesting way, and it shows that the Mughal times, they were actually very tough people. They were very brutal when they conquered, but then they were also very calm and very nice with the culture and the sort of architecture they brought into their palaces and their history. This is the view you get from the Agra Fort. Incredible view of Taj Mahal right there. Now, one of the emperors who built the Taj Mahal, Shah Jahan, he actually lived here, and he stayed here to look at his beautiful creation all across that river. It is a really nice view, and with the breeze, I could spend days here just being a king. Now, it's important to remember that while India is a Hindu country, the Mughals who came in to rule this place were Muslims. So right now we're standing in one of the first mosques that allowed women to go inside. It was quite revolutionary at the time, but Akbar was a very progressive man, and he built a mosque just for women. All across the palace you will find Muslim mosques, Muslim structures, Muslim architecture, Persian rugs that are brought in from the rest, because that's where the Mughals came from. They came from the west. They conquered what was already here and then made Agra their capital. So you see all these sort of very Muslim style architecture. It's because of the Mughals behind it. This is all marble. They really had to import a lot of marble from all over India to build the Taj Mahal, to build this fort. It's like they had an endless supply of it. And just like that, we have officially left the fort of Agra. To be honest, when I first went in, I wasn't really sure what it was going to be, whether it was going to be worth it to see Agra Fort. But the truth is, It is very different from the forts we've seen in Rajasthan. I was worried that because I'd seen so many in Rajasthan already, there would be no point in seeing the Agra Fort. But honestly, the architecture is different, the styles are different, the heritage is different. It was a different empire, it was a different time period, and it was different rulers that were ruling over this part. It's definitely a very interesting visit and definitely worth your while when you're here in Agra. Those have got to be the cutest little donkeys. They've got bells on them so that every time they move and they're walking, it literally jingles. Now just 15 minutes walking away from the Agra Fort is this massive monument that is right behind me. When the Mughals came, they still encouraged people to continue practicing their faiths. So if you were Hindu, you were still allowed to practice Hinduism. They weren't going to force the religion on you. However, that didn't mean that they didn't bring their own religion to India. And while Islam was already here, it definitely became stronger and more present here in India once the Mughals took over. We are currently here at one of the main mosques in the city of Agra. This is Jama Masjid, Masjid referring to mosque here in India. And we're gonna go in and take a look at probably one of the most beautiful mosques you're gonna find in all of India. Now, Jama Masjid was a mosque that was built by the daughter of Shah Jahan. So Shah Jahan was the one who constructed the Taj Mahal. His daughter is the one that constructed this massive mosque. And I have to say, this mosque is massive. If Mughals know how to do something, it's make very, very big buildings. Look at how spacious this mosque is. It is so big. Now, to be fair, on the inside, it is relatively simple. It's got this long hallway covered in mats where people do come and pray. And the cool thing is that this mosque is still a living mosque. So people here living in Agra, they come here, they pray. And there is a large Muslim community living here in Agra ever since the Mughals came and brought Islam with them. Generations later, Muslims are still coming here to pray. They're still doing their rituals here. And it is a very open space. I mean, look at how open this entire courtyard is. Now, it is raining, so it's kind of good that we're covered under the shelter and by this massive shelter at least. But it is really incredible that the Mughals were able to construct such large and massive and impressive buildings during their empire here in India. And yet, these buildings have continued to stay hundreds of years later in Agra. Getting Mughal designs. The birds have made a design of their own with all the bird poop, where all the birds are perched right on top. Every time I walk under there, I swear I'm so scared that one of these pigeons are gonna poop on me and I have to walk right under it. Now often people come to Agra, they see the Taj Mahal, they maybe visit the fort, and then it's time to go and head back to Delhi. But Agra is nonetheless still a city. It has its own charm, it has its own people, and it's still got millions of residents here that don't just obsess around the Taj Mahal. For the rest of the day, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be exploring the urban part of Agra. We're going to be exploring what average, ordinary life is, how people live here, how the shops are, what the street scenes are here. That is what Agra is also. It may just be the Taj Mahal and it may just be the fort for some of the tourists, but the reality is people live here, and the city is more than just its wonder of the world. Now this area of Agra is known as Jowri Bazaar, or the bazaar for a lot of jewelry. You're going to find a lot of shops that are selling rings, selling necklaces, selling bangles of gold and silver and all different metals here in the city. Now it is a very, very busy place. I've noticed that even though it may be Agra where there's more tourists, it's still India, which means you still got the hustle and the bustle, the motorcycles buzzing by, the rickshaws asking if you need a ride. It's still India after all, which makes it one of the busiest places to be. But at the same time, it's cleaner, the people are friendly, and it is just a great vibe to be around here in the city. Literally a temple in the middle of all this traffic. In fact, it's actually very common for there to have temples just like in the middle of a junction. It's something that I've seen not only here in Agra, but all across India. But that just shows you how important religion is. And this is a Hindu temple, not a Muslim temple, not a Muslim mosque, which shows again how here in Agra, the religions have sort of merged together even despite the Mughal rule. Picture this is is a safety hazard, but this wire is just about as tall as I am. I actually have to be so careful in India because nothing here is meant for my height, and I can literally zap my head and not even know it. There's a monkey mama climbing all the way up there with her baby. The wildlife here is truly just living with the city. There is no boundary between where humans live and where animals live here in India. In other countries, if you want to do shopping, you gotta go to the supermarket. But here in India, the market comes to you. This man is literally bringing his cart over, yelling that they have food for to be sold. They've got tomatoes, they've got peppers, they've got chili that's ready to be sold. And then locals who are living right up on these houses here will come down and buy whatever fruits and vegetables they need and bring them upstairs. You don't even have to go outside here in India. You don't even have to go to your supermarket. You can literally just wait for the fruit cart man to come over and sell you all the vegetables that you want. A lady literally just threw a bag from up there and basically has told them exactly what she wants. They're gonna put it in a bag, put it back in this bag, and I wonder if they're gonna throw it back up. I think they're gonna climb the stairs, so I don't think that would be a good idea to throw it back up. I guess that's how groceries get done, but I have confirmed that to bring it back up, they do have to walk up the stairs, so unfortunately, you don't just get to throw it back up. Now, after a pretty long rickshaw ride outside of the actual main downtown area of Agra, we've come to a region of this place known as Sikandra. And it's a little far out of the city. It's not the most visited by foreign tourists, but there is something here that is very interesting. And we're about to go and check it out right now. The reason we have come all the way outside of the main area of Agra is to come, after suffering so much, is to see this structure right here. This massive building. This is the Tomb of Akbar, one of the greatest emperors of the Mughal Empire. Known for being quite brutal, but also bringing so much culture and mixing of religions here into India, into Agra. This is where he is buried, the famous, the Akbar the Great. We're gonna go in. I'm not sure what I can film, what I can film, but let's go ahead, let's just take it easy, and let's see what's inside this place. Handshake. Absolutely massive, and it is. But it's only buried like 6 to 7 people, including Akbar himself. And that's because here there are 44 rooms inside this entire complex. Like this entire thing has 44 rooms in it, but only 4 of them are actually occupied. So there are still 40 empty ones, because when they created this and when they built this, Akbar thought that generations after him would continue using all of these rooms. But then, obviously, you know that it's not true. The Taj Mahal was built for Shah Jahan. You know that some others were buried in other parts of the world. And when they went in exile, they were even moved to places like Myanmar. So ever since then, the generations haven't really actually used the remaining 40 rooms. So literally this right here, this is an empty room. This is a room that could have been used to bury one of Akbar's descendants, but because of one reason or another, they haven't used it. And just like that, we have officially left the Tomb of Akbar. I have to say, it was magnificent in a lot of ways. And a lot of the things that were there were a sort of trial run before they built the Taj Mahal that we saw earlier this morning. It was a very beautiful structure, and the paintings and the designs are clearly Mughal in nature. They've got the same sort of grandeur to it. And honestly, it is a really nice place. The serenity of it, it's much more quiet. There aren't as many tourists that visit this tomb, so I would highly recommend this tomb actually. And it might be a little out of the ways of the main city center of Agra, but it's definitely worth it. But with that, that's going to be the end of our first guide here in Agra. Tomorrow we're actually going out of Agra for a little bit, so I'm going to be showing you guys that and what more there is to do actually outside of Agra. But it's been an incredible day, from seeing one of the 7 wonders of the world in the Taj Mahal, to seeing a fort, to seeing mosques, to seeing the old city, to seeing all these things here in Agra. It is an incredible city worth visiting. So with that, I'll end the video right here. If you enjoyed it, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more food and travel videos. I will see you all on the next one. Bye guys.